Hey guys, Chastity and Greg here with
Hello.
another Star Trek Discovery breakdown, this time for Season 2, Episode 7, Light and Shadows.
Again, spoiler warning, watch the episode first, then come on back here.
Alright, first a quick recap. So Michael is on the hunt for Spock, and so she heads to Vulcan with Pike's permission. And
then from there they decide to split up with Pike's going to take the crew over to stick around Kaminar a little bit longer. They're going to look at this location where the red signal has residual decay in order to learn more about when and where that signal came from. So Michael's on her journey for the mini search for Spock, while Discovery, they are going to send off a probe down to the location, but there's, what is it, tachyon interference, is so they have to get a little bit closer, and that's when all the fun kicks in.
Oh, what the frick?
Then the crew starts seeing mirror images of themselves from the future and past, kind of like a ghost. Then Pike decides to launch a shuttle with Ash to check it out. We also learned that Pike's first assignment for Starfleet was as a test pilot, and so we've got these two kind of pilots, button heads.
Sorry, but there's no way to get rid of it. Sir, I know the feeling.
Pike and Ash enter the time rift to launch the probe, and they get too close and get sucked in. Pike sees himself shooting Ash, but doesn't tell him.
Pike's reaction, just like, what? But at the same time, the character dynamics is so great because he's looking back at Ash like, well, maybe I just shoot him. That's it. He's just gonna have to die.
This is how it goes down.
This is just how it's gonna happen.
I can't control the future.
What's great about it too is because so many things are probably running through his head right there at that moment, because he could be thinking, what is this, like the year 30 years later where we finally snap and I shoot him? It's so many possibilities, so he's like, well, okay, maybe I'll just kill him now.
Yeah,
he's being an asshole.
He also said that line, we could just be stuck together for eternity.
Yep, and he's like panicking.
Who knows when that happens?
We're being pulled back in time. Or worse, we're traveling through past, present, and future all at once. We could be together for all eternity.
Unless the rift closes, but we're still here.
So now it's turned to a rescue mission, and Saru thinks that Stamets can fix it because of his tardigrade DNA. Cool, sure,
Plot
fine.
armor.
Yeah, he can see things that they can't because of the temporal distortion. Cool.
Okay.
On it.
Okay.
I'm still on board here. I'm all for it, because anything with temporal distortions, you're just gonna have to take it as it goes.
Roll with it. Then a probe from 500 years in the future attacks the shuttle and hacks into the Starfleet database.
So Ash and Pike leave a plasma burn trail for the Discovery to figure out where they are. It's kind of cool. I actually think Reese figures it out first, that this is what they're doing, because he learned it in training classes, so that it's coming back all the way to Pike, what he said earlier in the episode. And of course, Stamets, and with the help of Tilly, are able to find them.
But not before it can compromise Arium, which it sends like these 3 red dots, and kind of like Arium just does this. And then it's like, oh, hello, nothing is wrong. I haven't been hacked into.
you get it from that. You're like, okay, we might get one of those data moments where she's gonna go a little haywire.
Enter code.
173467321 Charlie 32789777 643 Tango 732 Victor 73117888 732 476789764376 Lock.
Security code intact for all specified inquiries and orders.
Then we have a nice moment where Pike and Ash squash their beef, and they're just like, you're right, man,
It's
you're
all good,
right,
bud.
it's all good, everything's okay. And then they both align in believing that the Red Angel and this probe from the future are on the same side and might not be able to be trusted.
We're in the middle of a fight for the future.
Always, Mr. Tyler. We are always in a fight for the future.
Okay, with that out of the way, now let's talk about Spock, our search for Spock. Was that too easy? Do you think that was too easy how they found him with Amanda?
It was very convenient. I think that after searching for 7 episodes, we should have gotten a better sequence of finally finding him, like as opposed to just him showing up and Amanda's like, oh no, you're all messed up. I'm gonna hide you in this cave.
It's a little too convenient, especially with Sarek. Even in this episode, Sarek finds them immediately.
Hello,
dun,
wife.
Dun, dun. Hello, wife.
You've been hiding something. All right, so we finally meet Spock in this episode, and Michael finds him in the sacred crypt, and he's just reciting the first doctrine over and over. Yeah, and then Sarek shows up, and he forces Michael to take Spock to Section 31.
Yes. Great dad.
Michael brings Spock to Leland, but Leland tells her that she can't stay with him. Georgiou warns Michael that Leland is going to use a memory extractor on Spock, which will destroy his mind. She tells Michael to attack her and escape with Spock. We get that nice staged fight between Michael and Georgiou, and then it ends with like a ending pose, and just like, bah, bah.
You gotta have the pose at the end.
Make it look real.
Now, before that fight, I love the line that Georgiou gives to Michael right here, which came out of nowhere.
I know so much more about you than you can imagine.
So Leland had something to do with Michael's parents' death. Okay, now I wonder if we're gonna find anything out about that in this show or in Section 31. Probably this show.
And then Michael and Spock escape on the shuttle, and Michael talks to the computer and asks it to search for those numbers in a different order, and they are coordinates that lead them to Talos 4.
Oh, okay. Now, speaking of Talos 4, let's jump into Easter eggs right now. Talos 4 was the M-class planet of the Talosian system, which was the home world of the Talosians, a telepathic humanoid species, as well as the Talosian singing plant, which we're sure you're going to see in the next episode. By the 23rd century, the war-torn planet's deep underground had been inhabited by the Talosians, who had evolved as an old and weakened species with enormous mental powers. In 2254, the planet was visited by the Enterprise under the command of Captain Pike. Years later, Spock and the Enterprise would revisit the planet in order to deliver Captain Pike there. Though Pike had been crippled by delta particle radiation poisoning, he was able to live out his normal life on the planet.
Did you notice that Tilly's now keeping it PG-13 as opposed to season 1?
Freaking awesome, yeah.
You guys, this is so fucking cool. It's freaking amazing.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry, sir. You know how I get around violations of causality. Plus, you said that I shouldn't curse when I was on duty.
Next up, after blowing Pike's mind with the new Section 31 made badge comms,
This is Agent Tyler transmitting on secure emergency channel. Control, do you read?
What the hell kind of communicator is that?
Ash tries to give it to him as a bargaining chip to find out where Burnham went. He should probably work on his bargaining skills in the future. Then, in this slightly painful line of dialogue from Sarek, we hear a mention of Katra.
I assume you hid our son in this sacred crypt because it contains Katra stones, which blocks any outside telepathic link with him.
Katra is the living spirit and essence of the Vulcan mind. It can be transferred to another person moments before death. Of note, the Katra of Serac, the father of Vulcan philosophy, was briefly stored within the mind of Jonathan Archer before it was transferred to a Vulcan priest.
Mr. Spock.
He jettisoned the fuel and ignited it.
We need that fuel to maintain orbit. Are you out of your mind?
Perhaps, Mr. Bowman.
In order for Disco to find the shuttle, Pike releases the shuttle's plasma so that the thrusters ignite the fuel.
Ignite the plasma.
TNG fans will remember this from the episode The First Duty, where poor Wesley Crusher and Nick Locarno were caught attempting the covert starburst that killed a fellow cadet. A covert starburst is an extremely dangerous maneuver performed by 5 light spacecrafts in a circular formation. When the ships are 10 meters of each other and flying off in opposite directions, the ships will open their coolant interlocks and ignite the plasma trails as they make the crossover.
Suru tells Pike and Ash they are experiencing temporal distortions on the shuttle. A temporal distortion is a warp or fracture in the space-time continuum, associated with time travel and also capable of destroying a starship. In the TNG episode Cause and Effect, the USS Bozeman encountered a temporal distortion which sent it 90 years into the future, where it collides with the USS Enterprise in the Typhoon Expanse, trapping the ships in a causality loop.
Captain, do you know what year this is?
Of course I do. It's 2278.
Perhaps you should beam aboard our ship. There's something we need to discuss.
Welcome to the future!
That's it for us, everybody. We'll see you all back here next week for episode 8. And until then, let us know what you think's going to happen in Talos 4 in the comment section down below.
And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our breakdowns on Star Trek Discovery and all the other shows we cover.
Bye-bye.